The global economy may be slowing, but the market for luxury cars is as fiercely competitive as ever, if not more so. Well, Vanessa joins us from the Paris Auto Show, where BMW, Audi, Porsche, Mercedes are all unveiling new models. Vanessa, hi. Growth markets such as China and the emerging markets have helped to make up for the shrinking of the European markets. But that's all changing now, isn't it?
Well, that's the big question mark. I think that's where we are in looking at the situation. I mean, until now, China has been growing like gangbusters, and especially for the luxury car makers, the big German three luxury car makers, Daimler, BMW, Audi, and Europe has been growing much more modestly and even slipping into negative territory in the recent months for those companies. So now China appears to be slowing from 30% growth rates to 20%, and in the case of Daimler, even 6%. The question is it going to slow even or seize up even further so that it no longer can offset a much slower Europe?
Yeah, Vanessa, as Daimler pointed out this week, as far as Mercedes is concerned, their 10% profit margin goal is now going to be under review. But what is interesting as well is that despite all the traditional luxury car makers, others seem to be trying to enter this field now. I mean, Ford, Volvo are trying to come up with their luxury cars to really try and compete in these markets as well.
Right, that's the other big question. I mean, at the same time that the market is slowing a bit, over the last couple of years, you've seen pretty much every other car maker really try to expand in China. I mean, because it's been such a gold mine. I mean, this is where customers buy the biggest cars, they buy the most loaded cars. So the sales that these car makers make in China are they reap a much bigger profit than pretty much anywhere else in the world. So you've had Ford just recently announced Lincoln is going to start selling in China. Volvo, Jaguar, Land Rover all have expanded dealerships, sales networks in China, and suddenly the market is pretty saturated with a lot of luxury cars, and the big German luxury makers are still the reigning. They really still dominate the market, but all of these other players are contributing to a lot of price competition, a lot more discounting.
What I also find fascinating about this, Vanessa, is that there are luxury cars and there are luxury cars. There are luxury cars that maybe the Europeans like, but there are extra special luxury cars, for example, that the Chinese like because they like having drivers and chauffeurs. So, you have to have a different car.
Right.
I mean, in other words, the companies actually have to go out there and, really expand their range of models to keep these markets happy.
Right. The Chinese luxury car buyer is actually pretty varied. I mean, it ranges from government bureaucrats to, the young, rich, second generation of fairly affluent families. And so car makers that are going to succeed there have to have, offer, that full range of cars. And I mean, that's been one of Mercedes' problems. They are now expanding big into smaller luxury cars in China and sportier cars, but that's like a compact SUV. That kind of model has been lacking in their model lineup until now.
It's interesting in a way there, Vanessa. I mean, it's one thing producing a luxury car, but you got to realize who your luxury car buyer is as well and aim your model for them. But what also at the moment, I mean, we've been talking very much in terms of European slowdown and the growth of perhaps coming off the top in some of the other markets. But are there any signs of improvement in Europe at all?
No, not really. Here at the Paris Car Show, the chief executives of Daimler, Audi, BMW that we spoke to were still very pessimistic about Europe. They speak optimistically about emerging markets and other export markets still balancing that out. But in Europe, pretty much all of them said they don't see a change anytime soon. They don't anticipate any change in the economic situation that would suddenly jumpstart those car markets. And those car markets like Italy are down 20% even for the luxury car makers.
Vanessa, thanks for some fascinating insights there. It's very kind of you.
Thank you.